Hmm. Brother John, how you doing?
Oh, brother George, how are you? I'm okay. I'm doing a little better than I was after about 1 o'clock on Sunday.
It was like going to a funeral.
Oh, geez, I'm telling you, it was awful.
That game was something else.
Yeah, it was awful.
Well, the Bills were in it, and then they started dropping like flies.
Oh, that's true.
And
That's true.
and some of our flies returned, like Von Miller, but I don't know what the hell he was doing out there.
Oh,
He wasn't rushing a passer.
yeah, I hear you. All right, well, it's hard. The recap of that game, the first game of the year with the Jets was frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
This game, in a way, was more frustrating. For me, it was a little more frustrating. Um, and then you had the guys going down. Like, you knew Milano was down, and you had a feeling he was done for season. We were shocked to hear Daquan Jones was in the tent.
We didn't even see the injury, and then we
Right.
hear Daquan Jones, our best interior defensive lineman this year, is in the tent, the medical
Yeah,
attendant.
like what happened to him? Yeah.
Then we saw him dragging Milano off the field on a cart.
Right.
Not off the field, but maybe it
cart,
was off
yeah.
the field. He broke his leg,
Right.
fractured it. Daquan Jones, he has a
Pectoral.
injury. We were already without Trey White,
Right.
and we had nothing left to do, but we had to bring in a rookie linebacker, Dorian Williams, and KFE. That's right, KFE. Kyer fucking Elam. Oh, excuse me.
Language.
Kyer, I really want to cheer for you. You showed a lot of enthusiasm when you got drafted, and I believe that you're sincere, but you're just not playing good ball. I don't know if it's the coach's fault that you're not playing well. I don't know if it's your fault that you're not playing well, but you're not playing well. Let's just put it right there. And we got picked apart. They were able to throw at will against us. And they had like 17 play drives.
They did.
If it wasn't for others on our defense that picked up the slack and made batted down passes and that sort of thing,
Right.
this could have been a blowout.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I'm thinking, John, maybe next week, maybe after this week's game, we'll see how they play against the Giants, and then maybe it's time to do a State of the Bills.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And really see what we think is going on.
I think another game here would help because it would give us a feel for how the defense is going to play, how the defensive line is going to play. You might get a little bit more play, a little more productivity out of Miller. It's the second week, and we'll see. For the offense, this should be a get right game. Because the Giant defense isn't the worst in the league, but they're not great.
I like the term get right game, but I always thought it was a case of like, well, now we're going to play a team that stinks that we should
Well, that's
score
what that
on.
means, yeah.
So now let's see if we could actually do it. Because if we can't do it against a team like the Giants, then we can't do it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would like to see. We did not rewatch the entire game, but we did watch a bunch of the coaches' film. We watched quite a few plays. And do you want to talk defense or offensive first?
Well, let's talk defense. They were on the field for like 40 minutes. They couldn't get off. I think it's a combination that the Bills' offense couldn't move the ball. They couldn't keep it and sustain any drives, very few. And on the defensive side, there were like some players like Ed Oliver and Epinesa.
He made
They played maybe their best games ever. As a Bill,
Epineza probably did. Oliver's had some games, but yeah,
yes, that's true.
Could still be.
Oliver showed that he's consistently good this year. Epineza has been good this year, but that was his coming out game.
Yeah,
that was incredible.
Well, one of the interesting things about Epineza is whatever accomplishments he's done, with sacks he's done, tackles for loss, generally it's on only 20% of the snaps. So I at the end of this year, it'll be interesting to see. I imagine he'll be a free agent. I don't think the Bills are going to sign him this year, and it'll be interesting to see if his agent can turn those statistics and reduce snap count into more money someplace else, with the understanding that, gee, if you give him more snaps, he'll have more productivity. Now, I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see on the open market what he's able to get.
See, I kind of think we might be signing him again. You got guys like Shaq Lawson. I don't think they're going to give him more time. And you've got guys like Von Miller who are wearing down. You can't even count on him to play anymore, let alone when he does get in there. We saw a play where he was in linebacker and dropped into pass coverage, and he couldn't do that. So if we let Epineza go, now we're going to be searching. We'll need a edge rusher. We already need a cornerback. We know we need a tackle because Brown isn't good enough. I mean, so that's my thinking is he may stick around. Like we thought last year Ed Oliver might be gone, but they decided to keep him around. And thankfully they did.
Well, hold on, because and here we have, and that's where I was thinking is, with Oliver, they paid him.
Yeah,
he didn't just stick around, they paid him.
Yeah, they're going to have to pay Epineza too.
Well, and therein is the thing. Shaq Lawson's making a little bit over veteran minimum. And I don't know if they can sign Epineza for that.
Oh, I don't think they would be able to.
Okay, so therein lies the problem. As a Bill, he hasn't shown the productivity to be a starting number of reps.
Well,
so do you pay him like a starter?
Why not get rid of Von Miller and take that boatload of money that they're paying him and use that to keep the guys that are younger and are showing promise now? Well, what are we keeping Von Miller around to do? Warm the bench, do a podcast, thinks he's going to be a general manager. The only thing he doesn't do is go on the field and play.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what that contract is like. Generally, with those big deals, the hit to the cap is predominantly in the first 3 years. So there is a possibility, I'm saying, you let him go, you still don't get the money under the cap yet. So you have no one. Then you have to sign another Shaq because that's all the money you got.
I don't know. I don't remember the details, but I thought I remember that he was under contract for 3 years. This is his second. But that after the second year, we really wouldn't be owing him much.
That could be.
That's kind of what I thought. And if it's possible, if you could take a chunk of that money and go get yourself a true number 2 wide receiver, and that'll solve that problem.
Hold on. Let's go back to cap questions aside. Anything else you want to talk about the defense here? Oh, I want to say one thing. Look, okay. We were watching, we were watching a tape, and we were watching some specifically for Elam because he got a lot of criticism, missed tackles and such, and Calvin Ridley ate him up. But Calvin Ridley is good.
Yes, he is.
He's good.
No
they ate
question
him
about
up, and
he's a great player.
It's not an accident that wide receivers move all over the place, but our quarterbacks kind of stay their side. It wasn't an accident they kept putting Ridley on. Ridley kept lining up in front of Toast, right? So now we watched the play. Ridley had his lunch meat. He went out. He did an incredible stop. It was a great route. He's wide open. He gets the ball. when we watch the play, we see that the Bills are trying to blitz on this play.
Mm-hmm.
And in case you're wondering, I don't remember the down and distance, but
It was 3rd and 11.
3rd and 11, and Lawrence is throwing the ball from his own end zone. I think the line of
It
scrimmage
was right. Yeah, it was right near his
around
end
the
zone when he
7.
threw the ball. Right.
Yeah.
Or in his end zone. Yeah.
And he throws a wide out to Ridley. And on the play, the Bills blitzed. Oliver, who was it?
Oliver, Dorian, Williams, and Epinesa. They ran into each other like the three.
They look like the
Musketeers.
Three Stooges.
Three
Yeah.
Stooges.
Yeah. Dorian Williams is going to blitz. As soon as the ball is snapped, he starts running in. He runs up the back of Oliver. And for some reason, Epinesa is looping around. He also runs up the back. It was just, there was no pressure on the play, except Torrin Johnson does get a little bit, but by the time he kind of is far enough, close enough to the quarterback to maybe make him rush, the ball's off. So it was, the pressure was ineffective, and they, on the same play, Christian Kirk is open for a touchdown, going streaking down the middle of the field.
Something wrong with my lip here. Just thinking about it gives me a freaking stroke.
And on the same play, I don't know the name of the other wide receiver, but he was the other wideout. I think Kirk on that play was a slot receiver, but the other wideout also wide open. It looked like Dane Jackson and Poyer were confused about who they each had. And based on the coverage that Elam had, it looked like he was man-to-man. And maybe they were playing some kind of zone, but Poyer and Jackson were on different pages. Hyde is the single safety. He's cover 1. And of course, once the ball is thrown, he has to streak over. He tries to get over to where Kevin Ridley is.
In that play, Von Miller wasn't on the end. He wasn't on the line at all. He was in a linebacker position. On the left side, he dropped into coverage, and there was nobody for him to cover.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was doing out there.
Look,
I don't know. In no way involved in the play.
On a play when you're going to blitz and you want to get to the quarterback fast,
You don't send your
best pass rusher is in coverage.
Maybe they sent their best pass rusher at the time, and Von Miller isn't.
Well, here's the thing. They gave him a uniform and put him out there. Now, and I understand he was going to be on a pitch count, but were they so arrogant to think that they could have a guy who wasn't going to be able to be productive? Because for him, he's just loosening up. He got 20 plays for the game. I get it. So that's his pitch count, but he really was not able to make any difference on any play. And in the meantime, Daquan Jones goes down. Rousseau is already out. Milano is a linebacker. He goes down. I think this was a game where maybe this was not the game to bring Miller back in. They needed a full player that could actually participate. Now, the defense played better than the offense. Right? The defense played better than the offense. Is there anything else you want to do with the defense before we move to the offense?
No, the amount of injuries they have has really damaged this team, and that's why I'm saying we have to give it one more week to see how they recover from this, what kind of a game plan McDermott puts together, and how he decides to use the remaining parts of his personnel. Elam was a failure. Dorian Williams came in. He looked like a rookie, and he made a couple of plays, but overall, he looked like a rookie.
He missed some tackles.
Tackles. Yeah. Kyer Elam.
And that's a strength of his game.
Kyer Elam couldn't tackle a crash dummy.
Yeah.
And so we'll have to see how he decides and what players he decides to play against the Giants to get right. So you're right. That's enough on the defense. I think we went from a Super Bowl type defense, and in 1 week, we went to a team that's hoping to hang on for a wild card berth.
Okay. Offense.
Okay.
What an awful performance.
Well, it's the inconsistent offense that we've seen for quite a while now. This was the Jets offense, or the team that played against the Jets, not the team that played against Miami. Now, Miami does not have a good defense, but the Jags do. The Jets do. And we saw what happened when the Bills play against a good defense. And the offensive line doesn't give Josh enough time to find his receivers. Sometimes he gets the Jimmy legs and he gets going. We saw that in this game a little bit. And, I look out there and I say, they talked so much about Sherfield and training camp and of what the connection that Josh was gaining with Sherfield. We still haven't seen him hardly involved in anything. Shakir, the guy said the weapon known as Shakir, it's the dud. It's a dud. If this was a missile, it's a dud missile.
Now you know why he was a 5th round pick. Yeah. Like he was a flyer. They took a flyer on somebody.
I know that, but I watched Nebraska football. They had that guy Wan'Dale Robinson, right, who went to Kentucky, and the Giants ended up taking him, and he's an integral part of that team.
We're going to see.
They could have got him, but they didn't. They went with Shakir, who I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know what he's doing out there. I just don't know if he can get open. He doesn't seem to run routes very well. Yeah. Sherfield is not contributing at all. Deontay Hardy, he's hardly should be Deontay Hardly. He's hardly contributing to anything at all. Thank God that Gabe Davis has stepped up. Mm-hmm. He had a really good game. Yes, he had a drop, but he had a touchdown. He had great receptions, good catches. He was a good outlet for Josh Allen while Diggs was covered. And that was our whole offense, was Allen to Diggs, Allen to Davis. And they shut down
the
running game. There was no running game. There was zero running game. It was hand it off to Cook, lose a yard. Hand it off to Cook, lose another yard. There was no throwing to him out of the backfield, very little of that kind of a play. Where was Latavius Murray?
He was there. He played.
No, there was nothing consistent. They weren't far enough behind to say they should have been into panic mode, but they did. Their game plan was not to take what the defense gives them. It's not to keep the defense off the field. I question, as good as we talked about Dorsey's game plan the week before against the Dolphins, you got to ask yourself, what in God's name were they thinking? What kind of game plan was this against the Jaguars, who are a good team?
Who are a good team. So what I would say is, we saw this offensive line falter against the Jets, and we suspected they would, because really we know how good the Jets front. I'm going to go ahead and say front 7 is, front 6 is. Against the Raiders, they had one player who's an all-pro and a bunch of guys who maybe will not be in the league in a couple of years, right? And I was very curious how they would do against Washington, and they did pretty well. We saw in particular, they did have to give help to every. They had to give. They had to give help quite a bit to Spencer Brown.
Yes.
But they were able to control the defensive front. Mm-hmm. They had a better defensive front than the Raiders, but not as good as the Jets.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck is going on in Miami. I know their best pass rusher was injured and has been injured. Mm-hmm. So they didn't have that. But I wasn't sure. I hadn't really watched many Miami games. I wasn't sure what to make of them. I know that overall their defense was ranked about 26 when we played them. And I think but we went up against another good defensive front 6, front 7.
Yes, we did.
It's not just Josh Allen. They've
right.
got more than that. Mm-hmm. Now, they have other issues.
And we saw them blitzing 5 guys.
But they have that, and it causes our offense to struggle.
We talked about it last year when the other team brings 5. Josh Allen struggles, and the Jags brought 5.
Well, I disagree with you.
Oh, I thought we talked about that last week.
Well, when they bring 5, the offensive line struggles.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
You said Josh Allen struggled.
Oh, yeah, because
the offensive line
because
struggles.
of the offensive line.
Yeah, it causes issues.
Clarity.
Yeah,
No problem.
causes issues. So one of the things we noticed this week, the Jaguars would line up 6. Like 6 are going to come, but they would bring 5, and you just wouldn't know which 5. Now sometimes they would only bring 4, but they brought 5. I think 40 to 50% of the time, and sometimes they brought all 6. And the Bills' offensive line struggled. We saw a number of times 2 tight end, 12 personnel. They put a tight end on each side, and before those guys went out, they didn't just chip. They stayed in, contacted the defensive end, and then passed them off to the tackle, and then went out into their routes. And when you saw Josh Allen have any time, the tight ends were helping the pass rush, or to help with pass protection. At least that's how I saw it. And as a consequence, the offense struggled. So I'm kind of saying, when we play a team that has a really good front 6, front 7, I think not just this year, but I think we kind of have a history of struggling. And it showed up again. It really ugly again yesterday.
I really think that this Bills team before Sunday was that kind of a defense that had a really good 6. Rousseau, Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, Epinesa, Shaq Lawson if they brought him in, certainly Milano, and the other linebacker there, Benford. They were doing a great job and getting home and putting pressure on a lot of quarterbacks, making it difficult. But now you lost Daquan Jones, you lost Matt Milano, and so it's 2 guys up the middle, and you're left with Kyer Elam to replace White.
Phillips. Right, Phillips, Daquan Jones. Phillips is getting more playing time,
and then Phillips did a good job.
Dorian Williams has to go in to replace Milano.
Epinesa did a good job replacing Rousseau. Phillips did a great job even without Daquan Jones.
Okay,
but we lost Milano, which makes a big difference there. And
but we're talking about offense. We already talked about the defense.
So I guess I'm still stuck on that.
Right. So the Jaguar defensive front.
Yeah, you win.
The Jaguar defensive front overwhelmed. Was a little too good for the Bills defensive front. The only thing I would say, you did mention Josh Allen having Jimmy legs, and the only thing I would throw at you is I didn't notice the time when he ran when the pocket was still good. I thought, because there have been times this year where we've seen him go when it looked like there was going to be pressure and he just took off. And I kind of thought that this game, when it looked like there was going to be pressure and he ran, there was pressure and he ran. And unfortunately, sometimes he can make a play and just, let those whatever over the middle or whatnot. And this wasn't the game for it.
We saw Spencer Brown this week.
Oh,
I think he played better than he has in some of the other games. But we also saw Deion Dawkins getting pushed back into the lap of Josh Allen. And if that big elephant stepped on him, I don't mean that derogatively. He's a nice guy, and he's big. Yeah. So if he would have went back and stepped on his quarterback, that would have been the end of the season for sure.
Yeah.
But he couldn't anchor in the ground. The rookie made mistakes. The rookie Torrance looked like a rookie this week. That's for sure. And that's part of starting a rookie.
Yeah.
Those things are going to happen. He's had a good season so far. He had a bad week this week. They had his number. but you're counting on your veterans to hold up.
It's
And
tough, yeah.
we didn't see that.
If they didn't give, like, when Dawkins was going up against Josh Allen, if they didn't give him help, he struggled. Now, sometimes he was doing enough for Allen to get the ball off, but like there were times it looked like he was on skates, just give it up, like throw it. Yeah.
How can these guys not open a hole once? I mean, the Bills opened the game with like a 5 or 6 yard run with Cook up the middle. That is the last time they did it.
Yeah, I hear you.
And all of a sudden, the Jaguars, I don't know what they changed on the line. The Bills could no longer open any holes anywhere.
Here's a good stat for you. So, Josh Allen, the Bills offense tends not to get blitzed all that much because Allen sometimes can really beat that.
Yeah.
If he anticipates it,
he's supposed to be the best in the league at doing that.
Okay. One of the odd things here was when the Jaguars are in 3rd and long, they blitz. And teams that like to do that will sometimes not do it so much against Allen or against Buffalo. But we were in 3rd and long a lot, and they still brought it. They blitzed somebody like 40-some% of the time.
Wow. And
we struggled 40-some% of the time to take care of it, like 100% of the time to take care of it. It was a rough day. They would complete an Allen. He had the 1 interception.
Right.
The deep throw to
the 3rd down, deep throw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The non-important interception.
Right. Well,
we had one of those last week.
On the play, I don't know if I showed you this. So he stays in the pocket, Allen does, but he's got to move. He's got somebody coming in short and somebody behind him. And he, instead of running, he gets up front and he stays in the pocket. But I think somebody tapped his arm because all of a sudden, as he's moving the ball like he's trying to find the laces. Then he throws it, and the ball was a little short. Now, it's a really long throw. It's a 60-yard throw. The ball goes 60, maybe 65 yards.
It was good enough that Diggs got his hands on it. He went up. He got his hands on it.
Yeah.
It was a 50-50 ball, and the defender won this time.
Yeah. Allen spots where he's going to throw this ball and then can't get it off. And he finally, and while he's doing this, he's fumbling, and then he gets that ball off. A little bit better protection. And he's able to, I think, get that ball off a little sooner. But that's why the other team gets paid, right? They had a great game too, or they had a great game, and I'm sure that there's plenty of things that they wish that the Bills left on the table. Oh, the only other thing I'll throw at you is, look, when Allen he wasn't cabbage head per se. He didn't make big mistakes. He does have the 1 interception that we talked about. When he took the drop, when he took the ball to the flat, or he took the check down, it's a fast defense. They shut it down. He completes the ball out to Murray in the flat. Last week against Miami, Murray breaks the tackle, and this week because of the defensive front, he's got to lob the ball over a defensive end. By the time Murray gets it, the defense is closed in. He can't get his move off. He gets 2 yards, or if anything, on the play. So just a better defense we're playing against. The only thing that jumps out at me besides protection, Gabe Davis did have a good day.
He did.
And I think this is 2nd or 3rd. Like, as far as the number 2 wide receiver, I think this is the 2nd or 3rd time this year I've been like, yeah, that's what a number 2 wide receiver is supposed to do. I got that.
He's had a touchdown in 4 straight games.
But we went out and we paid a tight end in Max. They drafted a tight end in Kincaid. You've already expressed dissatisfaction with Sherfield and Hardy. And where I'm going with this is, if Cook can't be another weapon for him, whether in the run or the pass, they don't have enough. They didn't have an answer today or Sunday for what Jacksonville was going to do. There were a couple times when Diggs beat his guy, where they left Diggs and their cornerback alone, and Diggs beat him, but they don't have another answer.
Well, we're watching the wideouts. Diggs, get into the screen here. Diggs and gotta get
Davis?
the screen. And Davis.
I know it's backwards, right? Left and right.
Diggs and Davis on the outside, but I haven't seen him taking advantage of a slot position at all. So it's been a case of we're hoping to see a tight end go out and be eligible because, there should be at least 4 receivers out there. You should have 2 wide receivers, a slot guy, and either a tight end or your running back able to go out there and send 4 people out for these passes against 5 defensive backs.
Yeah, no, I got you. You're right.
But we're not seeing it.
If they're going to bring 5 on every play and sometimes 6, I'm with you. The problem that the Bills ran into, so part of the problem was in order to have protection, those tight ends had to protect before they could get into routes.
Right.
And that affected what they could run. And some of the
and so that was part of the issue. That kept the linebackers in.
Yeah. And
because the tight ends weren't going out and they weren't sending out a slot receiver either.
Yeah. Well, and when we've seen, typically, I would say the last 2 years, since we haven't had Beasley, when we've seen production out of the slot, it's been Diggs. Like they moved Diggs, right?
You're right.
So there's a hole in the wide receiver room. I don't know how else to say it. I've been saying there's a hole because Gabe Davis is really a 3, and we don't have a 2. But when Davis steps up, if you will, and maybe he's a legitimate 2 now, I don't know, but we still have a 3 then. You're missing a player.
Don't forget, you got Deontay Hardy, you got Khalil Shakir, and you got the other guy, Sherfield, and you got the other guy we just drafted this year.
Well, hold on.
And I can't even remember his name now.
Well, he was on IR. Like he went on IR. Yeah. And
they only got 3 to choose from.
You know how Miller could come off of IR this past week?
Yeah.
Okay. He was eligible to come off of IR this week as well. I do not know if they did.
I should know that. So
I don't know if they did.
Yeah.
But he wasn't dressed. I mean, he wasn't dressed. So hopefully, I forget his name. He's a kid from Florida.
It's like short.
Yeah, he's a tall kid named Shorty or something.
Yeah.
He's got a little speed. He's got a little height. We'll see what happens.
Well, we're gonna, not to belabor the point, but let's see what happens this week. The last I saw, the Bills were favored by 14, and the Bills have been struggling to cover the spread. But if you've got Daniel Jones injured, if they have to bring in Tyrod Taylor as their quarterback, and the Bills can't beat them by 14, we are in big, big trouble. Yeah. This is a team, I know we're on the road, but this is a team that we should be able to just destroy.
That was a home game, actually.
No.
It's on the road. Okay,
it's in New York.
Okay. No, so it's in New Jersey.
Yeah.
It's in New Jersey.
Because the Bills are the only New York team.
That's right.
So go out and show us, Buffalo.
Doing the same thing. There we go.
Go out and show us. Are you a 4-2 team?
Go shuffle.
Yeah, go out and shuffle. Are you shuffle in? Go out and show us that you are the number 2 team in the division, with certainly a really good chance to take the division back away from Miami. Or are you nothing more than a 500 3-3 team that get crushed 2 weeks in a row? Show us who you are.
Yeah,
it's time to put up or shut up. And this is only week 6, but that's where we are now.
Yeah. No, Bill Parcells used to say, "You are what you are. You are what your record is.
Your record.
You are what you are."
So we're 3-2. Are we really 3-3 or 4-2? We're going to find out, and then we could just talk about the state of the Bills. Well, is it a state of emergency, or is it a state of we're on the right road, do more of the same, or any minor adjustments, or is it do we need an overhaul? So we'll talk about that next week. But my call is for the Bills to win this, and it's my call for them to cover.
Oh, what the heck is the spread?
The last I saw was 14 points. Bills by 14.
Well, good. The good news there is that the Giants have not looked good. So if they play a good game,
I think the Bills are going to score, but can we stop them?
I think the Bills will score too. Look, knock on wood. Last 2 weeks, there's been a lot of defensive injuries. This is not the time to see offensive injuries.
Yeah, is it going to be a 28-14 game, or is it going to be a 28-24 game, and we hang on to win?
Look, if they start scoring, McDermott is not going to turn them off. Not going up against Stable.
Mm-hmm.
So if they could put another 38 or 48 on the board, I'm sure they'd let them. We'll see how it goes. But I am curious. There are some things on the defense. I want to see how they're going to, who and how.
Right.
And then maybe we could do like you said, this is where we are. Are they 4-2? Are they 3-3?
Yeah, I hope it's 4-2 and a solid 4-2. They took care of the Giants. And so we can then diagnose them, because if they only win by a point, they struggle, win with a field goal at the end, or if we lose, then it's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, well, one thing that can certainly be said, the Giants do not have a great front six, front seven on the defense. So presumably the Bills
they got that guy Thibodeau. So, he could chase down a Josh Allen. And so we'll find out what kind of, if we have to have a 12 personnel out there to block the Giants and only throw to two guys on the ends as receivers, or can we start mixing our offense up? Can we get the running game going? Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Yeah. All right.
Go Bills.
Go Bills, everybody. Listen, if you're in New York, get yourself a little blanket.
Elam, just get better. Practice. Get better. Learn your lessons. Wipe it off your brow and get back to work.
Our low for the night is 75. So
oh,
if you're in
chilly.
Buffalo, yeah, it's going to be cold here.
I like Florida.
Buffalo, bundle up. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Go Bills.
Okay.
No, we only